Hey guys, today we are doing some spooky Halloween crafts. Let's get started. For this one, you'll need one of these plastic coffins from the Dollar Tree, and they are selling them this year because I saw them in my store just the other day, but I did buy this one last year. I'm taking some cardboard and I'm going to make a smaller, it's hard to explain, but I'm going to make the shape of the coffin. This is going to fill the inside of the coffin. We're going to use plaster of Paris, and this will make it to where there's an opening inside of the coffin. This little plastic coffin does have two, ventilation holes in it. And so I took some clear tape and closed that up. And then I took some wax paper and wrapped this cardboard in the wax paper. I'm just trying to do everything I can here to prevent the plaster of Paris from sticking to everything so that everything will come apart nicely. I took some spray oil and, put that on the inside of the coffin. I was just showing you here the plaster of Paris that I bought from Walmart ages ago. I mean, it was back in 2022 and I have not used it yet. So it has just sat, and it was just $4 and something. So I could not find that same plaster of Paris at Walmart. I don't know if they're even selling it anymore. You could look around and see, but it was their Go Create brand. But my store no longer had it, and it didn't even have the option to ship it. And so when I looked up on Amazon to buy plaster of Paris, it was $9, so it was double of what I paid for it, and that's just how things have been going with these craft supplies, a lot of them. But I did see that I checked at Home Depot, and Amazon had the better price at the time of filming this. But you just want to check around. I guess I used probably about $1 worth of plaster of Paris. Maybe not even that, because it was 4 pounds and I didn't even use a pound. And I only paid $4 and some odd cents for it. So it was for what I paid for it, is very cost effective, but it's going to be, about $2 a pound now. I had never worked with this before. It was very forgiving. It said to mix it to the consistency of pancake batter. And you can see there that I did weight down. That cardboard wanted to float inside the plaster of Paris. So I weighted it down with 2 bottles. I just showed me putting one on there, but I put another one on the other side to even out the weight. Now I expected that I would have to break this little coffin in order to get the plaster out once it dried, and I did have to. I mean, maybe if you just kept working with it, you might be able to get it out. And maybe because there's a little bit of a lip on the inside, maybe if you sanded that away, I don't know. I mean, to me it was worth it, just breaking it. And if I wanted to, I'm pretty sure I could tape it back together again, because it only broke in a few big pieces. But, for $1 and a one-time use, I didn't think that was too bad. Really, it made this coffin only cost a couple of bucks to make. It really took more than a day for this to fully dry. I left it overnight, and the next day it still felt cold to the touch. When something's wet, when you're working with concrete or anything, if it feels real cold, that means it's probably not dry. And, it took a couple of days for this to fully dry, but I started working with it and handling it before it was 100% dry. I'm using air dry clay. I'm going to make a little mummy to go inside the coffin. And I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just playing around with it and making a face that looks kind of creepy. I wanted these crafts to be a little more creepy this time and not so much cute. I like to do both styles of Halloween crafts. These little tools came from the Dollar Tree, and so you don't have to go out and buy expensive tools. If you just keep your eye out in their crafting section, they have some of these little tools that would work well. I used way too much clay for the head, and I went ahead and chopped off the back of it. I knew I wasn't going to be able to close the lid of the coffin if I made his head that big. So I took the size down a little bit and just freehanded it. And I wish I had some little eyeballs, but I didn't want to put that much money into it. I really just wanted to use what I had. And I used these little beads from the Dollar Tree for the eyes. Ignore the paint job on the coffin there. When I got done with it, putting antique wax on it, I decided I didn't like it to be that dark, so I am going to go back and change that in a little bit. But I'm just making his body out of this aluminum wire and some garbage, some cardboard, and just playing around with it. There's really no method here. Just doing what I think looks best, and I keep referring to the coffin to see about size. I'm sandwiching his torso. I'm just sandwiching that wire inside of the cardboard with some hot glue. I'm doing the same thing for his hands and feet, which are just the shape of hands and feet. I'm not messing with, making toes or making it anatomically correct. I'm going to be wrapping him up in some gauze soon. I wanted to take this back to more of a clean look, so I used Cashew, and that made a better base color. And then I just went over with antique wax, not as heavy-handed as before. I love the way that wax paper wrinkled on the inside of the coffin and made those what looks like folds in fabric. That worked out perfectly. I bought this rolled gauze from Walmart, and if you want him to be a newly wrapped mummy, he's not that old, you could leave it white. I wanted it to look aged, and what I should have done was tea stained it or colored it in some way before even wrapping him up. I should have tried to stain that gauze beforehand, and every time I make a craft, I'm making it for the first time here on camera. I don't pre-do the craft and then do it again for the camera, so I'm just learning as I go here and just really playing around with it and learning from my own mistakes. But before his head had dried, I had stuck it down onto that wire, and then that way there was a hole there for me to stick it on and use some hot glue to secure it. I left out the footage of me painting him. It was just going to make the video too long. I just played around with some toasted marshmallow is the color from Apple Barrel, and some antique wax. And then on his face, just doing some, cashew paint and just aging it up using a little black paint in the mouth. And you just want to play around with it, have fun with it, and make him the way you want him to look. This is just a quick reminder that if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell if you want to be reminded every time I upload a new video. I got my inspiration for this one from a product on Grandin Road that's actually no longer available whenever I was making this video. It was a Tic Tac Toe set, but of course you know I'm not going to make it silver. I'm going to make it more gold because that's what matches my home. Now you're going to want to go on just internet search, image search, a top hat template. So that's what I put in, top hat template, and the very first one that showed up, I clicked on it. I knew I was going to alter it. I printed it at 50%, but it just depends on which one you choose. You can size up in your print options, smaller or bigger. And the very first one that showed up, I printed it at 50%, the size. And then I even changed it up a little bit. You could see there that after the first one, I thought, nope, that's a little too small. So I, just went past the template just a little bit and made it just a little bit bigger. And then I think I even cut it to where the hat would be a little bit shorter. It was a little too tall, but not big around enough. And so I'm just using a placemat from the Dollar Tree that I had. And I'm going to, just haphazardly here, glue this together with hot glue, and then hot glue it to the little skeleton's head. These skeleton heads came in a multi-pack from Dollar Tree, and I did see those there this year. They also have styrofoam ones. But the set on Grandin Road was plastic, and so, I don't usually work with plastic as much as I can. I like to work with wood and metal, but for Halloween crafts, it's not like it's something that you're going to keep forever and ever, and it really matters what it's made of. You can just have fun with it and use, plastic products to make your Halloween crafts. That hat made these little heads a little top heavy, and so I melted a hole in the bottom underneath their chin and put some hot glue in there to weight the heads down. Now you're going to need a game board, and you want it to be, if you're using the same skeleton heads I am, you're going to want it to be at least 10 by 10 or around that size. But they have lots of signs in that size at Dollar Tree, or you could just find like this wooden plate, find some random thrifted item, as long as it's a flat surface that's around 10 by 10 in size, it'll work. I painted all of my game pieces with Truffle by Waverly, and then I'm going to use it's gold leaf rub and buff to go over those, and I'm doing sort of a messy coat, letting some of that brown show through. The Grandin Road one was just an inspiration. I didn't do it exactly like they did it. The top hat caught my eye. If you've watched my channel for very long, you know I like adding top hats wherever I can. But instead of doing the bones as the X's, I wanted to use pumpkins. I wanted it to be something that was about the same size as the skull heads. I didn't like the idea that the skulls would be very large and then, and stick up high. And then the X's, the bones would be very short, if that makes any sense. I don't know, that's just my brain. But some little ghosts or other little figurines that you might have would look great. There might be some other options at Dollar Tree or somewhere else, just anything that's Halloween themed. I used some skewer sticks from the Dollar Tree to make the, I don't know what you'd call it, to make the game board, to make the lines inside for the Tic Tac Toe board. I did a very light coat, but I did a heavier coat over the lines so they would stand out. And it wasn't just a style choice to do a very light coat on the game board. Rub and buff is not cheap, so I wanted to save my rub and buff and not use too much. And it happened to turn out great like that. These are those skeleton hand tongs from the Dollar Tree. They've had them for years and years. I see them there every year. I love it when they put out the same products every year, so you know it's pretty consistent. So this is one of those items. And I also have this solar light from the Dollar Tree. I bought that this year. And I also have the bottom of one of those little kraft boxes from the Dollar Tree as well. My miter shears worked very well to cut down these pieces because I needed them shorter to fit inside the base. And there's a link in the description box for these miter shears if you're interested. I got my inspiration for this piece from, there's a few companies that have an item that looks like this, but it looks like a fortune teller's hands. It looks like a woman's hands holding a crystal ball. But I thought I wanted to go this route and use the skeleton hands. And I saw it on Michael's. I saw one on Grandin Road. And I think I even saw it somewhere else. There's several products out there like this. They don't have the skeleton hands though. They have a woman's hands. But I'm just going to glue this together. I used a what's it called? A rubber band to secure it so that I could play around with it and make sure I got the height right and make sure of how I want the hands to hold the crystal ball before I glued it. You can see that this solar light is very sensitive. As I was turning it toward the lamp and away from the lamp, it was turning on and off. But so far it works really well. And I did not glue, like I could unscrew and replace that solar light if I wanted to. I have a few of these solar lights. So if it ever, stops working, I can pop that out of that base and replace it if I wanted to. I just used a lot of hot glue and then wrapped some tape around that, making sure that tape, I squeezed it real good, making sure it got in contact with that hot glue, and it's, very sturdy hold. I started painting the base with ink by Waverly, and then I realized this is going to be too plain. I need to dress it up just a little bit. So I added some of those raised stickers from the Dollar Tree, and then I painted that black, and I wanted to add a little something else. So I have these little jewel stickers from the Dollar Tree. The colors are not my style, and so I took a little bit of clear Elmer's school glue, and I mixed that with some brown food coloring. And I'm going to color this little clear one down in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see how it turns that clear plastic jewel into an amber color. And while I was at it, I decided to go ahead and put a coat on all of these. For if I use them in the future and want to use them, I usually pop the jewels out of these and just use the backing. Working with those plastic jewels, there's only a few certain projects that would even work in. But I went ahead and colored those as well. It really muted them and made them look more vintage. I did a real light-handed coat of the European Gold Rub and Buff. And just, really just as an accent on the base there. And I used some styrofoam that I got out of a package out of the mail and just cut that down to size and made a hole in the center. I didn't use hot glue on the little round raised stickers. Their adhesive worked fine. So far, so good. And I also was worried about the hot glue making them raise up off of it too much, if that makes sense. But I did because this is rounded. It's a curved surface. For this larger sticker, I did use some hot glue on it. I also did the same paint job on that sticker. I went over it with some ink, some black paint, and then did the European Gold Rub and Buff on it. You could fill this however you want. I used Spanish moss. But you could put anything in there. You could try to make it look like the skeleton has sleeves, like he has some kind of shirt on or what have you. but I just filled it with Spanish moss. That was really easy, and I like the look of the Spanish moss with the skeleton hands. These would be really neat as part of a centerpiece for Halloween, and I just really love how this turned out. Let me know which one of these is your favorite. I think I'm gonna have to pick the coffin, but it's a really hard choice. I love all three of these. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.